Hi, welcome to yet another episode of Polygraph. I am Neelam Pandey and we have with us our political editor and expert DK Singh. The question that we have taken up for today is related to the assembly elections that it all set to take place in the coming few months. So the question for today is, what is making BJP so optimistic as far as elections in Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Puducherry are concerned? Well, the BJP has been trying to make inroads in the southern states for quite some time, but what is it that has happened lately that is making it much more confident? So sir, the first question first, what do you think are the key reasons behind it?
Well, if we look at the three estates, or rather two estates in one UT, let me start with Puducherry, because that's we have something latest actually coming all the time. I mean, every day something is happening now in the past 4, 5, 6 days. Now, Puducherry government, Narayanaswamy government has been given has been asked to prove a majority on the floor of the House on the 22nd.
Right.
That's, I think, Monday. Now, you'll find it very surprising that BJP is so optimistic about Puducherry. You know, it removed the LG, Kiran Bedi, replaced her by another one, the former TNCC chief,
right,
Sundara Rajan. Now, what it is hoping is BJP may not have a single MLA. Like, it has 3 MLAs, but they were all nominated by the LG. So, otherwise, BJP did not win a single seat in the last election. But as it is, I mean, I will not be surprised if Narayanaswamy loses the trust vote. After that, either it's presidential election, a presidential president's rule, or maybe some alternative formation. We don't know, because Narayanaswamy government is on a very thin ice.
Right.
You know, in the existing strength of the Puducherry Assembly is 28. His government has the support of 14 MLAs, including the Speaker. And then it has, and the 14, that tally also comes with the support of one independent MLA. So it's on a very shaky ground, but I will not be surprised, especially after Arunachal Pradesh and what you have seen the BJP doing in northeastern states. If you recall, in Arunachal Pradesh in 2014 election, I think in a house of 60, Congress had about 42 MLAs and BJP had just 11. By January 2017, you had a BJP chief minister in Arunachal. So anything can happen in Puducherry, let's see. As for Tamil Nadu and Kerala, you know, if you look at the BJP's history, or go back to Jansang days also, see, it's not that the party is expecting some immediate results, because if you look at some immediate result, I don't think even a die-hard fan of the BJP expects the party to form the government in Kerala.
Right.
Because BJP's, you know, the vote share has been increasing, in the sense, if you counted from 2011 assembly election in Kerala, then BJP had just about 6% votes. In 2016, it came to 10% vote, a little over 10% for BJP. NDA got, of course, 15%, but for BJP, it was like from 6% to 10%. You come to 2019 Lok Sabha election, it went up to 13%. So there is a consistent increase, but still not good enough to be in a position to even think of, you know, forming the government. Definitely not in this election. Let's see what happens next time. If you recall, only in the last assembly, BJP got entry into the assembly.
Yes.
Because A.K. Antony used to make fun of BJP, that the only way BJP could enter the assembly would be with a visitor's pass. That changed in 2016. Let's say starting. In Tamil Nadu, again, BJP is a very marginal player. But in Tamil Nadu, BJP has better hopes, because as part of NDA, if the AIADMK-led alliance, the NDA, if NDA returns to power, BJP may end up being part of a government, may end up having even a minister in the government. That will be a big leap for the party in the southern state. And from there it starts, because if you look at BJP's history, talk about Assam, and in Assam it was way back in 1948, then the first RSS Pracharak had gone. The other day I was sitting with one BJP MP from Assam, and he was telling us the entire story. First RSS Pracharak in Assam in 1948. And it went on, BJP kept, first Jansang, then BJP kept working in the region. It was only in 2016 that the BJP got its own government in Assam. So when you look at the BJP's trajectory in Kerala, It's much better. It has improved. It's improving pretty quickly, pretty fast, I would say, steadily and slowly but steadily. In Tamil Nadu, again, let's see what happens. But it's not about BJP in Tamil Nadu, it's about the NDA, which is what BJP is counting on. And suddenly you saw the Prime Minister going to Chennai, visiting Chennai last Sunday. He's planning to go there again. Prime Minister visited even Kerala. He has been announcing a lot of infrastructure projects.
Yes.
So the thrust that you see from the BJP is pretty surprising. It's like you don't leave anything to chance. Whatever gains you can make in any state, you go for it.
A lot of BJP ministers have also been visiting. Well, in the course of this live, do send us your questions because, DK Singh will be answering all of them. We have already got a few. Nitesh wants to know, BJP is an aggressive attacker, but a weak defender as far as state elections are concerned. Your take?
No.
And will you please recommend some books for understanding the South Indian politics better?
Well, books I won't really be, because I have been reading all kinds of books. I don't even remember at all. So nothing specific that I would recommend as such. As for being a weak defender, we have seen it happening. So initially what you saw 2014 onwards, 2014 Lok Sabha onwards, when suddenly BJP saw a big spike in its fortune in many states. That was because that was the time when BJP was riding this Modi wave. It is still riding the Modi wave, but in states at least. So people were voting for anybody. Right. They were not looking at the chief ministerial candidate. BJP was, or people were looking at Modi and basically relying on him to deliver the goods for them, whoever be the chief ministerial candidate. But 5 years later, when the chief minister was in place and they saw the performance of the chief minister, then gradually the mood shifted. Because it was not just the prime minister, it was the chief minister who would be delivering things on the ground. And that's when some amount of disillusionment started setting in some of the states against the ruling BJP. So what you have said is true. I mean, it is turning out to be a weak, it's not a weak defender as such. It was, even in Maharashtra, it put up a
strong
pretty
fight.
Valiant fight. But yes, the factors which propelled BJP to that kind of popularity even in the states, 2014 onwards, or probably November, December 2013, when Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh went to polls, that is missing a bit because BJP chief ministers have not, all of them have not really been able to live up to the people's expectations.
Another question from Namra Patel is, what is your view on the petition filed challenging victory of P Chidambaram in Lok Sabha election 12 years ago in 2009 in Madras High Court, and could it have any impact on Karti Chidambaram's political career?
Not really. Karti Chidambaram on his own, look, he's a bright leader. But if you look at the Congress's position in Tamil Nadu, Congress wins basically riding piggyback on DMK. So it's not about Karti Chidambaram. P Chidambaram was there, yes, he was pretty popular. I'm not sure about the status of that petition yet. I mean, what is happening, we have not heard of it for a long time. But I don't really think after those many years, whatever comes out of it, it won't really have any shadow on Karti Chidambaram as such. But as I said, he may be a bright leader, but Congress is not such a major force in Tamil Nadu. So
but Rahul Gandhi has been constantly going there.
Yes, because obviously he sees, okay, there is one state, apart from Kerala, of course, where Congress sees some chance for itself. In West Bengal, it is hardly a factor. In Assam, it's on a downslide. In Assam, like, it's a pretty weak wicket after Tarun Gogoi's death.
Right.
Though he has gone to Assam also, but he's focusing on Tamil Nadu because, after 10 years of anti-incumbency against the AIADMK, clearly the Congress sees a chance to do pretty well. Pretty well in the sense, I don't know how many seats Congress will be given by the DMK, given its performance in Bihar. Because in 2016, I think Congress had got 41 assembly seats as part of the negotiation, seat sharing arrangement. It won just 8 seats. Right. Although but in Lok Sabha election 2019, Congress was given 9 seats as part of its share. It won 8. So what is happening now is Congress wants a bigger pie, which DMK is not willing to give because Congress has been a drag in a way for its alliance partners in many states. But still, Rahul Gandhi is going there trying to project the party as a force to reckon with. Let's see what happens. But for the Congress, its best deal is, or the best it can expect is, that the DMK gives it at least 40-41 that it had given. But even if you win all those 40-41 seats, that does not make you a player in Tamil Nadu politics as such.
Right.
So,
Nipun Jain has a question for you. He says, as evident by various numbers, Kerala has been at forefront at many socio-economic and development indicators. In what manner could BJP challenge the governance of Kerala government?
Well, you always have anti-incumbency. In Kerala, especially every 5 years, you see the governments changing. And what BJP is trying to do is, look, BJP is the social equations BJP was trying to actually explore. Like BJP was trying to bank on Izawas and then a section of Nayars also when it comes to your social equations in Kerala. So in the last election, BJP was banking heavily on SNDP's political outfit to deliver Izawas to it, which did not happen. Nayars also, BJP is not able to make that dent. It is expecting a section of the Syrian Catholics also to basically Syrian Christians to come to the BJP fold. But let's hope it's not happening the way the BJP has been expecting. But the larger narrative would be these are the micro details of the BJP strategy. But when you look at a larger narrative, BJP leaders, you have been covering BJP, the sense they are getting that, people are getting sort of exasperated with both the LDF and the UDF.
Right.
Because one comes, then the other comes, and the same narrative continues. So they may be willing to make an experiment. And so Modi model of governance could probably draw at least aspirational voters in Kerala towards the BJP. That's the hope.
And a lot of center schemes are already being highlighted in all these states.
So last time when the Prime Minister was there, he announced projects worth about 6,100 crores. So the idea is to actually project the BJP as a party which is very good in terms of delivery, in terms of governance, like what Prime Minister Modi does here, BJP can do in Kerala also. And BJP does have many sympathizers there, but what is happening there is, because it's not seen as a serious contender, so even those who are sympathetic with the party end up voting for the Congress on the voting day.
They don't want their vote to go waste. Well, Sumit has a question for you. He says, is the ground level support of BJP and Modi increasing in Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Puducherry? Well, you did answer it slightly.
No, because I spoke about vote share, how it consistently increased from 6% in 2011 to 10.5% in 2016, then 13% in 2019, all for BJP.
Right.
Of course, it has been increasing, but given the kind of groundwork the RSS has done in Kerala over the past several decades, these numbers don't really reflect that groundwork. So BJP is yet to, even though Prime Minister Modi has, or his style of governance may have many supporters in Kerala, until the BJP emerges as a party to be reckoned with, as a party which can be reckoned with as a possible challenger to the LDF as an alternative, it won't be able to make that kind of impact in terms of vote share. In Tamil Nadu again, you see in the last assembly election, BJP got just about, if I'm not wrong, 2.86% votes. That's hardly a vote share to talk about.
Right.
Although it was not in alliance with the AIDMK then. As I said, BJP may not be a big factor. But BJP, along with AIDMK and part of NDA, idea is to come to power first, to have a couple of ministers in the government, and then start expanding. So it's just the beginning, because BJP was earlier not focusing on Tamil Nadu as such. It did not really see much happening there. But suddenly in the past 6 months especially, I would say, 6 months or probably 1 year, you get a sense from party leaders that they see some chance of expanding the footprint in Tamil Nadu.
Another question from Aragya Dhar is, are there signs of polarization in these states? And Suresh wants to know how big of a setback is Rajnikant's announcement for BJP?
Well, that was the reason BJP was definitely looking at Rajnikant as a possible face or as a possible ally. And that was why you could see that tension between the AIDMK and the BJP, because BJP was not ready to accept or to declare Palanisamy as the NDA's chief ministerial candidate. It was, keeping the AIDMK on tenterhooks. It was only after Rajnikant announced that he would not be floating his party that the BJP finally declared that, okay, Palanisamy is the alliance's chief ministerial candidate. So BJP was counting on him pretty much. Hasn't happened. The party is disappointed actually.
And the second question about Rajnikant.
What Rajnikant? I'm talking about Rajnikant only, because BJP was counting on Rajnikant to actually. Rajnikant is a big Modi fan. So even if his party won't do much in terms of votes, of course, nobody would know how many votes Rajnikant's party would get if he were to float a party and basically contest elections. But then he was a face that the BJP lacks in Tamil Nadu. BJP does not have any face. And that's why Rajnikant, even if he didn't join BJP, he floated his own party. But as Modi's kind of regent, Modi's admirer there, I mean, he would have done a lot for the BJP.
And signs of polarization in these states?
So far, no. I mean, if you're talking about polarization along religious lines, not in Tamil Nadu. In Kerala, yes, there was this talk in the BJP that, there was this hope, I would say, where a section of the Catholic Church, the BJP reckoned, could probably be coming with the BJP, because Christians, as you know, they have been voting for the UDF for all these years. But now their sense was that, and the church was against, church opposed even CAA, church opposed NRC, but then there was a section of Christian leaders who supported or who spoke like the BJP when it came to what you call that love jihad, that anti-conversion bills that many states have brought. There is this worry among the Christians there, or a section of them, that most of the welfare work done by the government in the state actually goes for the Muslims. So in Kerala, as you know, Muslims and Christians constitute about 45% of the population, and Muslims are about 26%, a little over 26% of the population there. Now, their delegation was, or some of the magazines and newspapers that some Christian leaders have been floating. So the concern expressed in their editorials, or as some Christian leaders would tell you, was that 80% of all the development works or welfare works of the government would be focused on the Muslims, not on Christians. So, and again, that BJP was counting on this general global, scenario where you have these conflicting situations between Christians and Muslims, and those talks were kind of percolating down in Kerala also. That, probably the two minorities may not get along because what is happening abroad.
Right.
So that was the BJP's hope, but that has not actually, there is some simmering tension. You hear complaints from Christians also, but that hasn't really translated into votes for the BJP so far. So,
well, we don't have much time, but I'll just take two last questions. Vineet Ambat and Tanveer Panjwani, they're asking similar questions. They're saying, will Kerala still prove to be a wishful thinking for BJP in terms of winning elections? And in BJP, the retirement age in active politics is 75 years. So how do you see BJP in 2025 when Mr. Modi will be 75 years? Will Metro Man be given ticket in Kerala as he's 88 years?
For your first question, yes, I would say for 2021 at least it will be wishful thinking. As for this unwritten age code, like after 75 will not contest, we have seen Yadurappa is the Chief Minister of Karnataka today.
Right.
Raja Gopal, the first BJP MLA in Kerala, I think he's 86 now. I'm sure he's going to contest. I think he won when he was 86. So it's not a written code like, you cannot violate it or you must follow it. It's just a general principle that this government has adopted. In case of Sridharan, he's 88.
There could be exceptions.
Some exceptions could be made because it's not about winning, it's about sending a message. Now, Sridharan is called a metro man. He's somebody who is identified with the infrastructure development, and you know how much emphasis this government, the Modi government, has been putting on infrastructure development. So he kind of lends credence to that narrative. So it's not just about Sridharan. Today he is talking about being a chief ministerial candidate if he is given the offer. But okay, that you may call it wishful thinking. But point is, whether he contests or not, the fact that he has joined, he is going to join the BJP, and he has been praising Modi as a doer who can deliver, that does serve the BJP's narrative as being a party which is totally development oriented. And that's all the BJP is hoping to gain from his candidature, if at all he decides to fill them.
Thank you so much for such a detailed explanation. Thank you for watching us. We will be back next week with another latest episode. Do tune in and do follow our political coverage on ThePrint.in.
Thank you.